Hi guys! Facebook says I can't go live anymore, at least for a little while, because of a Thanksgiving joke meme that I posted in 2020. So I can still video. So I just want to show you a little bit about what's going on in this garden. I just got some more cucumbers. These are decent ones right here. But I'll show you what my cucumbers are doing right now. And you may have had this issue, and you may not, and that's okay. But I'll just figure I'll show you. So let me turn this here. All right, so still have cucumbers growing, still growing. Not as happy up there, but I just got one of the big ones from up there. There's another one growing up there. Still green leaves up there. Still green there. They're still growing some down here, even though the leaves don't look very good. It could be the mosaic virus, which gets transferred by cucumber beetles. But also the birds have been doing a pretty good job of coming in here and eating bugs. So these are the cucumbers. Still have flowers coming, which is great because I want more cucumbers, believe it or not. Oh, there's a little guy right there. I see him or her. Let's see, what else was I going to show you? Oh, sometimes you're going to have funky cucumbers that look like this down here. And that they say is that that's poor pollination. Either it didn't get pollinated well or enough, or maybe it was pollinated with something else. I'm not sure. But if you have funky shaped cucumbers, that would be why. So I am still growing flowers over here, zinnias. And I'm letting the broccoli go to flower too, so it'll make seeds for me. And it will attract the pollinators still. And let's see, I thought there was another, yeah. Here's another oddball cucumber. Again, poor pollination. Here is, if you can see him, there is a cucumber beetle right up in there. So me with cucumbers, it's kind of hit and miss. I don't like to spray. So if there's not something that's actually going to eat them, the cucumber beetles, I'm going to let them be. So, and then with vines, I'm learning to say, hey, would you like to be up here? I recommend that you're this way so that you can grow better, because that one was still growing, but it's starting to grow underneath this canopy thing. And yep, still have some cucumbers growing, still have some flowers for the pollinators. And if I come back here during the day, there are lots and lots and lots and lots of pollinators. I got the big fat fuzzy bees. I got the little bees, you name it. And then also pollinators are the, actually they are hummingbirds as well, and they're moths, and they're hover bees. So I am still getting cucumbers. And actually tomorrow afternoon, Saturday afternoon, I plan to, right now I have like 12 pounds of cucumbers that I'm going to pickle, and I need to give them away, or I need to give my old ones away because I have way too many in the shelves. And I can't see that we're going to be able to eat all of those. I doubt that we would be able to eat all of those. So I will need to something with them. I might even we're having a potluck on Sunday after church. Maybe I'll make some cucumber salad and bring that. I'm not sure yet. So these are the cucumbers. I'll tell you a little bit about the greens here. This Swiss chard came back from last year, was growing very, very well. I recently clipped it so that I could put it in with some of the, there's a hummingbird. Oh, got distracted, sorry. There was a hummingbird. Anyway, I cut some of it down to put in with the cucuzzi squash Italian dish I made. Oh, so good. And you can see, this is Swiss chard. You can see it's already got some new growth. And this was about, what, 3 days ago that I made that Italian dish? So I cut them fresh then, and I cut the stems, and cooked them first with the squash and onions and things and tomatoes, cooked it down. And then I added the leaves afterward. And I washed them and rinsed them and all that stuff. I like to soak them in salt water in case there's any bugs. And then I rinse them really well. So that is the Swiss chard. This kale, apparently it's a perennial kale, so it comes back every year. And I let it get buggy, and I toss them into for the chickens. So they'll have some greens in case they can't be getting out because of weather or they're bored or whatever. They got something to do. And like I said, it's a kale that comes back. Now the front kale, if they weren't buggy, then I would dehydrate them and then cut them up into like pulverize them into like a greens powder, and you can add them to any kind of recipe that might need vegetables. And like the chief, he wouldn't even know. He would not even know he's eating kale. He's eating greens. Ooh. Over here are Brussels sprouts. I have this tiny little plant here I didn't know about, and that's exciting. And then I have this plant here. The seeds I got from just waiting while the lawnmower goes by. The seeds I got from M.I. Gardner, and I think they were called New Jersey Brussels sprouts of some sort. I have to look at the package, or I'll type it in the video here. And I can see there's some little babies right there. But I think that since I am letting the cabbage moths have their way with the kale, I think they're coming over here too. And I thought I read that when you do Brussels sprouts, you really need to net them, like net each plant. And then they'll grow like a tree. You're supposed to take off the bottom leaves as they grow so that the sprouts get bigger. But I think I've got them too close to things that are attracting the bugs, and I'm letting them eat them, so that's not going to do them any good. What else? The Brussels sprouts, they're about done now. Just going to seed. I'll collect those seeds when it's ready. And this little zucchini plant, I rescued a couple zucchini plants from one of the local nurseries. They were like way overgrown inside of the pots. So I transplanted them in here. There's one here. And there's a little one down there. It's not doing as well. They were planted at the same time. And then I planted some over by the by Josh's arches as well. And it looks like we're getting a lot of flowers, a lot of boy flowers. You always start off with boy flowers. Oh, there it looks like a little fruit in there. I see a little fruit. You see it? Isn't that exciting? More zucchini. I love zucchini. And I didn't get a lot this spring, so that's exciting. More greens. Zucchini is not a green, but I'm including it because it's got a green leaf. It's with these guys. Greens. More greens. This vine right here. This vine is Malabar spinach. And it's finally had enough sunshine to actually grow up the trellis. People use the leaves just like you would spinach. I'm not in love with the way it tastes raw, like spinach, but I think if you cook it down, it's probably pretty good. So it's growing okay. I've got some growing somewhere else too. I think on Josh's arches, there's some more spinach. All right, so that's the greens. And like I said, I was just including the zucchini because they seem to all be pals around here. All right, this is the sweet potato bed. I actually rescued some sage and put it in here. So I have some more sage. And it's taking over. I'm letting it take over. This was where the garlic was growing in the back. And in the very back was corn. We harvested that the other day. So in the very back was garlic. That's all harvested. And then in the front area here was carrots and onions. And I started the sweet potatoes over there, and I'm just letting them ramble through this bed this way so they can fill it up. They do grow up the trellis. You can see a vine sticking out there. And there's some over there, changing color right in the middle of the screen there. And then there's some more sweet potato vine here. And I don't know if, I don't think I'm going to get the same amount of sweet potatoes if they crawl in the trellis as they do if they actually go down like over the ground, but I'll see. I've got more over on that trellis, the tomato trellis. That was my plan for that whole other side of the tomato trellis, was to have all sweet potatoes growing on the vine or on the trellis, and then underneath in that arch is where the peppers are growing. So sweet potato vine, and then I have some over on Josh's arches. I have a little bit growing. It's trying to struggle to grow. There was just so much going on over there before. It didn't get a lot of light. And then it was trying to wind its way around like the zinnias. So those are the sweet potatoes. Love sweet potatoes. All right, here is the obstacle course. This is incredible how much it's grown. This right here is a Tithonia. I see there's one bloom getting ready, actually one bud getting ready to bloom. I planted too late, but I know for next year, plant sooner. All right, so let's see what we got going on over here. Wait, let's go right through. Okay, so here are, these are, it looks like they're ready. They are really tan. Tahitian melon squash. Sweeter than butternut, if you've ever had butternut. Sweeter than butternut, and they are enormous. Don't ask me how long they are, but I did post it on the Facebook page, on this page, Lazy Gardener page. As you can see, here is another Tithonia. Look at that stalk. And what'll happen is the bottom branches will just snap right off. But when they snap, they stay together, like on the plant. You can see this one is coming right out of the ground, and then they like curve upward, and apparently they're gonna put more flowers out. Go figure. Looks like the insides die off a little bit too. But I did water, and they don't like a lot of water. This branch is only staying up because it grew up through the trellis as a support. And it's way up there. That's Tithonia. She's so special. Okay, we got the birdhouse gourds. And there are leaves dying on the insides too, I think because they're either smothered by the other squash, or they're done. They might have been done. And I probably pulled them from the bottom to get the greens in for the fall garden, so they're not doing well. Looks like chicken's got some tomatoes. They're kind of down low. I do have tomatoes growing in here. Anything down low is fair game for chickens and critters. You know, that's just how it is. So those are probably the first ones, if you want to harvest them, those are the first ones to pick off first, to take. These birdhouse gourds are huge. Look at that. And I think I'm supposed to let them hang on the vine, and they get a special like mold on them, or rust on the outside, and that's what preserves them, and you're supposed to keep them on the vine for like 7 or 8 months. I might harvest them and put them hang them in the garage instead. I don't know if they were supposed to be in the weather, so I have to check that out. Okay, over here is another cucuzza squash, Italian squash. And if you know an Italian family and you bring them a cucuzza, it's supposed to be a really nice gift. This one must not have gotten fertilized well, so now it's all yellow. Oh gosh, something touched me. It's Vegas. Hi Vegas. There. And this one is still here. I have not harvested it, but I shall soon. They say if you press your nail in and it dents, it's still soft enough, or at least it's ripe. That's when you're supposed to pick it. So there were a bunch of different recipes I got online for cucuzza squash, and to preserve it, I think I can even dry it. So I'm going to try that. Another birdhouse gourd. Another birdhouse gourd. And what I might do is, after I preserve them for next year and then I hollow them out, is I may sell them either plain or already decorated with birdhouse holes cut out. I have to learn how to do that, and I'll let you know. Got more tomatoes. More tomatoes. Lots of tomatoes. tomatoes. Now the sun is coming. It's at the south now, so this privacy fence might be blocking some of the sun from the tomatoes, but it isn't blocking it from the top leaves, and it's definitely not blocking the gourd leaves. Here is a little girl plant because she has a fruit and then a flower, and then when the pollinators come, this is a little boy plant or little boy flower. There's no fruit on it. Oops, let's see. There's no fruit on it, so I could open it up and I could I make this one kiss the other one, and then they make babies. Isn't that cool? And then for Cucuza, you're supposed to do that too, but I can't quite tell the difference in the Cucuza leaves. Like, I don't think that's a Cucuza. This is not a Cucuza fruit, because they're more like thin and narrow. And I'm not positive what the Cucuza leaves are. I will definitely grow more Cucuza next year, and then I will learn how to fertilize them and get more and more of those. We have a lot of Italians up this way, Italian heritage, and it's probably something people would want. Let's see. Now, the purple pole beans on this side, they've kind of just gone to seed. If you want purple pole bean seeds, let me know. I have lots of them. I also call them witch's fingers. That's my name for them, because if you let them grow for a while, that's kind of what they look like. They're all like gnarly. And I like to cut them up and pickle them. Not this size, but the fresh size. Pickle them or dehydrate them. When you dehydrate them, you go to blanch them first for dehydrating, and they turn green. And then when you dehydrate them, they shrivel up really tiny and they turn purple again in the dehydration process. So this is something that I would pick to eat or cook or to dehydrate, because it's really small. And this is a little small one too. I have more though on the other, some of the other trellises. More tomatoes and pumpkins that are definitely ready. Ready pumpkins. Getting ready tomatoes, and these tomatoes are very nicely shaped. They're like the grocery store kind. A couple pumpkins just hanging out because they can. That is a Japanese winter squash. I currently cannot remember the name of it. But when I look it up, I will put the name on there for you. You know, I start filming and I can't remember names. But this is the Japanese squash, and this is pretty cool because there's a couple of them. I was looking for the female buds, but there's a lot of male right now. This is a bud, a fruit. It looks like it didn't get fertilized well, so it's probably going to fall off because it's very yellow. Here, now it's better. This is a fruit. I saw another fruit. There's one up here. See it with a little hat on it. It's yellow. It probably did not get fertilized well. I was looking for more females to make sure that they get fertilized, but I cannot find them with this plant in particular. But I am encouraging it, and that's all I can do. I can suggest. I might pop a vine off, one of these twisties off, and I'll say, oh, would you like to come over here instead? Little vine, would you like to come this way? And I'm very gentle as possible, so I don't want to break anything off. Maybe I'll go down a little bit, just gentle. I'm not giving it any force at all, really. And these are going to wind up through it onto the trellis all by itself. Thought I saw another female. There's a female. There's a girly. So I'm going to wait until she gets a little bit more open, and I'll get another boy, and I'll kiss them together, and we'll get more of these Japanese winter squash. Remember, or if you didn't know, winter squash, oh, there you go, I'm at ADHD. That one did not get fertilized well. It's going to fall off because it's not fertilized well. Winter squash, going back to the difference between winter and summer squash. Winter squash just means that it has a really thick skin and it stores well over the winter. Butternut is a winter squash. I have some butternut. I have 2 left from last year. So they're a year old, and they're winter squash, hard skins. Pumpkins, I believe, are winter squash. I have to check on that. I'm not sure. I'll check on that one. And I will, after I check on it, then I will put it in this video. What else was there going on? Oh, here's just one of the other zucchinis that I rescued. And there's little fruit down there. Hopefully the pollinators have come and taken care of that, so it will mature. Here's another girl fruit that did not get pollinated. Did not have babies. What else? Oh, another pumpkin growing. I wanted to see if I could find more female pumpkins so we can get more of those as well. You know, when I heard about people pollinating their squash, I was like, really? Is that necessary? But if you want more of them, you might as well try and help them. More tomatoes. Oh yeah, tomatoes from the other side. And then to attract the pollinators, I don't have a lot of flowers over here. I have like one lonely zinnia way over there. I'll grab some goldenrod. I just cut them off and I shoved them down into the trellis to attract pollinators over here. To say, hey, there's some good stuff over here. And what else can I say about this? These over here were the pumpkins, the white stackable pumpkins. They grew over there, and on the other side of those were some more orange pumpkins that grew early. Well, they grew on time. I planted them too early, but they were ready early. So these we're trying to grow everywhere. These are the gourds, birdhouse gourds. They are voracious growers, I guess. Very, very happy. So instead of them like smothering themselves, I tied some lines up between the trellises, and I think I kind of like this because then it shades out more of the area. And then I just come through and take a vine and just kind of put it up there, and it's very happy. This is so soft, and they smell kind of good. If I had smell-o-vision, I'd show you what they smell like. They have these white flowers. They close during the daytime and they open at night. There goes a pollinator or a beetle or something. See, they're starting to intermingle with the tomatoes, which at this point of the year, I mean mid-September, I'm really not going to be fussy about it. You can see it's kind of hanging on there. These leaves are still getting sunshine, so again, it's not really that big a deal. Here we go. Yeah, I kind of like that it goes between the trellises because the chickens like to come in here and putz around in here. They stir the dirt up, they eat the bugs. They have some shade and some protection, especially protection against overhead predators, air predators, hawks, eagles, you know, those kinds of things. So that's kind of important to me. I laid these were pear tree branches, and I had laid them there so the chickens would not get in through these holes. That's one thing I had to think about when I did my fall planting of cabbage. I was like, oops, those holes are really large. The chickens will get in there and eat all of them if they can. So I just put those there temporarily. And the cabbage, I watered and it was very heavy, so I moved it, but I gotta move it back. I don't want those doggone cabbage moths getting inside, if at all possible. I don't want them to have a fun time with it. All right, so those are covered. These are what I call the decoy cabbage. There's some more spinach, Malabar spinach. It's kind of trying to crawl up a little bit. I can see it way in the back, way in the back. Got more dill, which is good because I'll be doing pickles. More dill, a little more zinnias. And, and peppers, duh. Pepperoncinis, which I like those. Those are the kind you get on your Greek salads. And I pickled a bunch last year. I haven't used them yet, but I need to. I was doing that today, looking through canning and the dehydrated stuff and see what I could do. Found my peppers from before. They had been smothered by the they had been smothered by the tomatillos and the ground cherries. So I found these guys. More sweet potato vine growing up the trellis. On up the trellis. More dill. Now these, I believe, were pepperoncinis too, and they've been on the vine long enough they turned red. So I don't think I planted hot peppers this year. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Very red. Is that a bug? Get off. Okay. Alright. Got the cilantro. Going a little circle there. More spinach. And the Malabar spinach there. Looks like it's getting buggy. Regular spinach, Swiss chard. And more calendula. It came back well after I took the tomatillos out of there, and I cut back all the dead stuff, and then I deadheaded, so it looks like it's coming back well. And it looks like it might be seeds because I didn't plant those. Those are probably from calendula. More parsley is over here, and some more cabbage up front in front of the peppers. Cabbage and spinach over here. This cabbage is very happy cabbage. I'm glad. And that's about it. So this is all right now of the obstacle course tunnels. And it looks like I got harvesting to do. Oh, I forgot. There's some cherry tomatoes up in there too. We definitely are having a lot of tomatoes this year. Lots and lots of tomatoes and lots of squash, which is good. The Tahitian squash, though, is summer squash, so I have to pick them and use them, or pick them and give them away to people. So, and that concludes this tour. The sun is getting ready to go down, but I did want to show you this. This arch in front of the greenhouse, I guess I call it the greenhouse arch, the pepper arch, tomato arch, I don't know. This has been my favorite. My favorite. And the pepper plants are loaded. I need to harvest. Those are hot on that side. And if I give you a red pepper, it's probably hot. I got some green peppers growing over there. I got more peppers behind that clump of Cosmo. These are snacking peppers. They're green, red, and yellow. Not hot. For snacking. And there's more. There's some anchos back there. And some more good peppers back there. The tomatoes, I have to harvest these too very soon. It's been my favorite bed though. Look at in the basil. And oh, I love it. I should have taken all the flowers off. And when I do that, when I do deadhead them, it smells so good. And I like to like rub my hands all up in the basil, which is probably not a good idea, especially if I'm in the garden and the bees smell me and they're like, oh, you're a flower. Of course I am. Look how large that basil is. It's amazing. So when I made my kukuza dish, I grabbed some fresh basil too. Actually, I grabbed it from the bouquet that I had on the counter. Which, this is not good filler. I would not use these for filler, for cut flowers, because they are very aromatic, and sometimes they actually smell like cat pee. So they're good to eat, they're good to smell, like regular smell, but in the house, in the bouquets, they don't smell very good. So yeah, this has been my favorite. The cut flowers have grown through the trellis, and use them for support. There's cosmos back there and giant zinnias. So pretty. So pretty. So when I talk about cut flowers and fillers, I'm talking about the leafy stuff that you can put in there. So the cosmos, the leaves of the cosmos, not tomato leaves. Tomato leaves are not good for that. Let's see what else is good for fillers. I did grow basil over there as fillers, but like I said, it doesn't smell as good. Let's see. Oh, here's some nice ones. These are the cherry bushes, Carmine Jewel cherry bushes. So when I go to prune them, because sometimes I'll look at it and I'll go, ooh, there's a crossing branch or a dying branch or whatever. These make good fillers. I have willow out front. They make good fillers. Grasses make good fillers. And when I say fillers, it's the stuff that goes inside the bouquet around the main flowers. And it actually means that, let's say you have 5 main flowers. Instead of grouping all the flowers together, you would put maybe one large one and a bunch of little ones. Little ones like, whew, these aren't looking good. The straw flowers. The straw flowers? I can't remember now. No, I can't remember. I'll put the name in when I do the video. Smaller ones, like the balloon flower, the bellflowers. You might put some of those in there. You might put smaller Chinese asters. These right now are the size that you would use for drying them for arrangements. Or maybe you put some floaty cosmos around a big flower, and then you fill it with leaves. Here's hibiscus leaves. I haven't checked to see how those stand out. I mentioned before that hibiscus, if you get one big bloom and then a bunch of buds, that it's nice to have in a bouquet, because the one big bloom will die off like in a day, but then the smaller buds will open up in water, which is kind of fun. But they've kind of had their way. Still have some more zinnias. They're still budding. Cosmos, they're kind of looking kind of thready. I haven't really watered back here much at all. Snapdragons, I can't really get to them anymore. There's some snapdragons here. Here are the yellow dahlias, and here the red ones finally started blooming. Like, actually I started noticing that they were blooming, which is exciting. So I need to come and cut them when they are looking nice before the frost comes, and that will be soon, guys. Very soon. Very soon. But fillers could be tree branches, bush branches. Like I said, I have willow out front, serviceberry, grasses, anything that's going to give the bouquet just like a little bit of green behind it, and then so the flower color actually pops out. And you can look that up online. You could look up cut garden fillers, or maybe some spiky flowers to give it height. When these are in bloom, they look really nice and they can get tall. I've used mint before. You know, everyone hates mint, but if you plant it somewhere where it's okay to grow, you could use it. Ooh, milkweed is crazy. I was looking at asparagus. I think that might be a really cool filler too. If you've got a large asparagus patch, look at that. It's very floofy. If you get something that's really lightweight like this, and like fuzzy, I call it floofy, movable, and you pair it with something hard like maybe a sedum. See the sedum? It's hard and solid. That would be nice. If you paired some of the asters that are really small and kind of lightweight with some solid, maybe a big yellow zinnia, maybe right in the middle, that would be nice. With some fillers coming up, you could use, this is Russian sage, maybe you use that as a filler or use it for height. But that's what I'm talking about. So I see a lot of people will grow a lot of zinnias and they'll just clump them all together, and then they go to sell the bouquets, but that's all it is zinnias, and they could be made, instead of 5 zinnia bouquets, maybe they have 10 because they've stretched it out with the filler materials. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, behind the orchard is the artichokes. Looks like 3 of them made it through this year so far, and I think they're gonna winter over. The grapes have been going crazy. Crazy all over this fence, and on the other side too, they're going through the cracks. So next year I'm gonna cut them all back the way I've been learning on YouTube. And then the fig tree seems happy. I don't bother watering back here. Fig trees don't like it really watery. And then next year what I'm going to do is put sprinklers under the orchard trees so the water stays at ground level, and doesn't get up on the leaves and the fruit. And I think that's going to help with the spots that I had on the fruit before. But this pear tree, look at the branches. It's amazing. But I don't prune it yet. If I prune it now, especially with the warm weather coming up, we're going to have a big flush of new growth, and that new growth will die when the frost comes or when the bad weather comes. So, but Miss Dawn Green, the orchardist, she did tell me what to do, and I have that on video so I can follow her instructions, because she knows what she's talking about. Strawberry beds, I don't really bother with them so much. They are going to go to town. I did weed a little bit of the grass out to get a better head start next year, but the grass by next spring will die out. I will probably just rake it lightly and get the grasses out. What are you doing, goofball? Oh my gosh, Vegas, he just loves trees. Anyway, I will rake the grasses out, and the strawberries will come back. I already have some that they must be ever-bearing. Just look at it. They got flowers and strawberries, and there's some strawberries there. And this is gross, but I think she's eating peach pits. I have to look that up and see if it's okay for her. So far she's been okay, but we'll see.